You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts Jon Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
Good afternoon, I guess good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Prosper in the Kingdom. I'm your host, John C., with the ever amazing Wendy Lee. Wendy, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Happy to be here. Excited about our subject.
I know. And it's a lot of meaty topic here today, folks. So listen in, and if you're driving, turn your radio up a little bit and tell the kids in the back to be quiet for the next 20 so minutes. Yeah, I'm excited about this topic too. And today's topic is impacting every single one of us. And think of it like this. This is your wake-up call to the coming economic shift, because it is happening, it is coming, and you need to get ready for it, because whether or not you're ready, it's still going to happen. So we're going to dive into three big things that are really impacting the economy. And many of you may be aware, I spend my off hours when I'm not helping families going down some rabbit holes just on economics, on finance, on crypto, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to talk about what's going on three major fronts today. The first one is really looking at the end of what's called the fiat era. And what do I mean by fiat? I'm not talking about the cool little sports cars. I actually used to have a 1979 Fiat Spider. Amazing car. Not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about fiat currency, the paper money, the funny money, right? With all the different pictures and colors all over the world. So we're going to talk about the end of the fiat era and the rise of the digital currency. And then we're also going to talk about the cost of living crisis that's going on. You know, you look back, we've done an episode in the past where, you know, since the 70s, we jumped off the gold standard back in 71. And let's be honest, incomes have not kept up with the income and buying power of expenses. So we're going to dive into a little bit about that and what's going on as it crushes the middle class. And then lastly, AI. Everybody thinks it's cool. You're seeing all these little cool videos and stuff like that of people sharing stuff, and it's getting more and more realistic. Well, what's going on is it's also getting more and more realistic in the workforce. And it's going to have some big impact to people, not only, you know, the traditional blue collar, which was impacted in the past with mechanization through robots, and then also offshoring, things like that. But now AI works 24/7, never needs a break, things like that. So what's that gonna look like? So we're going to dive into that. So first, let's jump into fiat currency versus the digital dollar. So, you know, I know that as we dig into this, you know, Wendy, you've gotten your toe into the crypto world, right? I've kind of jumped in as well a little bit. You're on mute. It's all right. It helps with a podcast when you use your microphone. I mean, I've never tried it without it. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Yes, very tiny bit. I've jumped into crypto a little bit. Should have listened to my cousin Joey. Going to give him a shout out back when Bitcoin just started. He's like, Wendy, you need to. And I was like, I don't understand what that is. I'm not doing that.
Hey, I was the same way. And I think a lot of people are with you, right? I mean, it's like when Bitcoin came out, I'm like, I don't understand why it's valuable. I don't understand why it's going to, you know, increase in value. So what I did was I actually started dipping my toe in a few years ago in crypto, and, you know, bought several coins, and not so much as a big investment. And I tell everybody, you know, and reminder, folks, this is not financial advice. We're giving you education here. So do your homework. But that's what I did. I bought a little just to kind of play around with it and see, what is this world all about? You know, what are the different kinds of coins? And, you know, Winnie and I did a great podcast, I want to say maybe a month ago, on intro to crypto. So if you haven't seen that, go back, watch it. It's a great kind of 101 on looking at crypto. But, you know, let's start with money and the fiat currency, because, you know, let's be honest, everything ties back to it, right? You know, for decades, we've lived in a fiat world where currencies have come. The US dollar has been the stable economy of the world, you know, the petrodollar, things like that. But after 71, our dollar was no longer backed by gold or silver. It's backed by trust. The government prints it, we accept it, and there's good faith that it gives value, right? But
It's
I don't know.
funny we talk about how is crypto valuable? Really, how's the dollar valuable?
I mean, seriously, right? It's backed by the good faith of the United States government. Which, don't get me wrong, I love my country. I love my country. Um, but sometimes I scratch my head at the government. But you look at what's going on, and economies around the world. It's governed by the Fed, which is not anything related to the Fed, right? Our federal government, but it's still called the Federal Reserve. Hashtag false advertising. But you look at that and it's like, okay, why do we buy that, right? But since 71, and these are real numbers here, folks, so listen up. Since 1971, when we went off the gold standard, the US dollar has lost 85% of its buying power. 85%. Could you imagine if you had an investment of 100 grand, let's just say easy numbers, easy math, right? 100 grand, and now it's worth $15,000. That's a pretty crappy investment if you ask me, right?
Yeah.
And, with quantitative easing and stuff like that, I mean, our debt's just exploded. Our debt, I think, is at 34, 35 trillion. I've lost count. And I remember when everybody freaked out when it went to 11 trillion back in the day, and it wasn't that long ago. But now it's 34 trillion plus or minus, and global debt is at 300 trillion. And
Which makes no
like,
sense to me, but
I
continue.
know, right? It's like, who the hell do we owe this money to? If we're all in debt, who do we owe it to? Well, there's an answer there, and maybe we'll do like an after-hours show where we'll call it the PITK tinfoil hat discussion. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? No, I'm teasing. So you look at that, and it's like, so we've looked at this digital currency, and we did an episode about a year ago or 2 years ago on central bank digital currency, CBDC. Nothing to do with CBD, folks, so don't get too excited. But it's the central bank digital currency, and that kind of went over like a lead balloon. And the reason is the attraction of crypto is because it's decentralized, right? It's not controlled by the government, because what happens with control? It's that some scary things can happen. So you look at, is the dollar going to go away completely and be replaced by crypto? Is it inevitable? I personally think it is. Not anytime in the next 24 months, but I think over time it's going to happen. But it's extremely possible. I just want everybody to know that,
Yeah.
right? And it's the whole, what does money mean, is being redefined now. It's a scary time. I mean, but there's a lot of different cryptos out there. Again, go back and watch that episode Winnie and I did on that. But you look at the main staples. There's Bitcoin, there's HBAR, XRP, and several others. But it represents decentralized currency, right? No middleman, no government in control. And that's attractive when people stop trusting the system, which you look globally at what's going on across the globe, and you see a lot of that. See a lot of mistrust in the government and what's really going on. I think a lot of people, I don't know, I'd love to hear your input on this, Wendy, on, what do you think people are waking up to the fact that maybe their government hasn't been 100% truthful on what's been going on? I don't know. I'm just going to put that out there.
If anyone trusts in their government 100%, then they're absolutely silly. So,
yeah,
absolutely silly. Well, here's the bottom line. Just like churches, people are like, oh, I don't go to church because this or this happened to me, or I experienced this. Listen, we're all human beings, born sinners. There is zero perfection. And when you put a whole bunch of zero perfection people together, you're going to have issues. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have greed. You're going to have, right? And so our trust cannot be in governments or people.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to come off like a conspiracy, theorist either. I mean, a lot of them are coming true, but there was a black comedian, and I forget his name because it was so funny. He had a TikTok going around a few months ago where, he's like talking to, I guess more left-leaning group. And they were talking about, I get that you guys don't think that, these conspiracy nuts out here are right on everything. He goes, but do you really believe our government's gotten it right 100% of the time? I mean, like 100%?
Yeah.
And he goes, I know when I talk to my kids and tell them stuff, I'm lying to them half the time, right? Just to get them to do. He goes, I think that our government maybe does some of that too. And he obviously, I'm doing a poor service, but it was hilarious. But I mean, it's true, right? And it's one of the things. But the reality is, you don't want to panic. You want to, learn about it,
Right.
and kind of get prepared on all of these things we're talking about today. But when, like I said, when the government's introduced CBDC, it went over poorly because people were worried about the control, right? Okay, so if we're embracing crypto and the government still wants control, let's be honest. They want to control us. They want to make sure they're getting tax dollars from us because we're their income stream. I mean, it's just the raw fact of it. So what's the next step though? So I'm going to throw out a concept here. If I can't control the actual currency, maybe we can control what they buy and spend with it.
Yeah.
Right? Translation, digital ID. Okay. It just went live in England, and you're seeing all kinds of, at least I am on my feeds because I hang out with that algorithm, all kinds of blowback on the digital ID, but it's not going away. And I honestly think, that's the whole push about immigration and things like that. To be able to better control it, you've got to have some form of ID. And I think that's something that I think is inevitable. So if you've got a digital ID, you can't use your crypto without it. By de facto, they control the crypto at that point.
Exactly.
So I think that's my opinion. That's my 2 cents, and it may be worth half that, but that's where I think we're going on it. But is currency, hard currency going away? Yeah. I mean, ask yourself the bottom line: how often do you really carry cash in your wallet anymore? Most people are swiping a card, so it's going to be, instead of swiping it for $1, now you're swiping it for, an H bar or Solana or whatever the case may be. So, looking at that, so it's something that you need to learn because there's no getting around of it. Even if it doesn't take complete control, it's going to eventually be a major part of our economic system. And it's like anything: if you don't know the rules of the game, you're never going to win. Okay, point blank. So let's dive into the other one. I kind of went a little long on that one, but let's dive into the next one. And I think this is one of those that really impacts everybody. And, and we all see it, and there's no denying it. It got bad under the last administration. And although it's slowed down tremendously under the new administration, but it hasn't reversed, right?
So, yeah, still going up. Still going up. I know that's one thing we're talking about, inflation. I always thought, if inflation's down, that means prices are getting better. I'm like, no, it's the percentage of the increase is going down. So it's still going up. So last administration, they threw out numbers like 8-9%. I think at one point we saw inflation. Well, if it's down to 2 or 3, it's still going up. And we had a huge push, a few years ago with how much it went up. So groceries, right? What does that affect? Groceries, we all feel that. We all see that. It's getting a little better. Insurance, housing, healthcare. I mean, more and more people are going without healthcare because, I'm not poor enough to get it from the government and I'm not wealthy enough to pay for it, right?
How does that work?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, don't even get me started on the Affordable Health Care Act. That was a fiasco from the word go. Great on paper. Great.
Yeah. Well, I could go down a whole
on paper, right? But once again, the government, never mind. Yeah. So anyway, keep going. Sorry.
But anyway, that even the average home, right? I mean, you and I both lived in the Nashville area. The house that I bought for $220,000 in 20 years ago is now and it's vinyl siding, okay, no granite anything, like base of base. And because of the county we lived in, is now worth $500,000. And it's like the stuff we would say about California is now everywhere, right? The average home is now 7.5 times the median income, which is the highest ratio in U.S. history right now. And so over 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And we see that. I mean, when we do financial planning, we see that. And I would say more than 60% of the people we talk to. And this is a big one too, is Gen X and millennials are on track to retire with less than half of what they'll need. Very different than the boomers.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the
In
boomers
fact, a
had
lot of
pensions.
boomers,
The boomers, they had pensions.
yeah. And a lot of them are having to help out their Gen X and millennial kids.
Mhm.
And so, and it's, it's a problem with the system. The solution though isn't to like run away. It's taking control of your finances where you can. And I like
Bingo.
to say now I've kind of made a shift, and it's not me controlling my finances. It's me seeking wisdom from the Lord on how to steward it well.
There you go.
And
Love it.
yeah. And how do you do that? So I'm going to give you a couple things on how you can do that. And the biggest one that you hear Jon and I talk about all the time is building multiple income streams.
Mhm.
So many financial crises come because of a lost job, or, I'm in the network marketing space, a company shutting down, or whatever, a divorce, and, somebody was single, or not single, but wasn't working. Right. And that
Mhm.
money goes away. So build multiple streams of income. So you have a backup plan, right? And you steward that money wisely when it comes in. And, Jon and I talk about this in other videos, but where to put your money. You don't spend it all, right? Don't spend every dollar that comes in. You've got to manage that money well. And one thing that we do and we help people with is we take a look at where you are today, what money you have coming in, what you have going out, and we help you steward that well. We help teach you exactly where each dollar should go so that you're managing it and it's not just all running away from you. And so another thing is eliminating the debt. Be insistent, be obsessed with getting rid of the debt. Debt is a chokehold. Debt is from the enemy, and it ruins your financial future. I'm doing things. I'm not out of debt yet, and I'm doing things like I'm looking at a leather jacket over here that I got at Goodwill for $8. That's brand new, $1,000 jacket that I'm selling on Poshmark. Right? Like, do what you need to do to get out of debt. Like, make it your number one. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to run. I'm going to do extreme things, like stop getting my nails done, stop getting my hair done, stop doing whatever until I get this debt paid off. Like, I want you guys to feel like it's a monkey on your back that you need to get rid of. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you want to chime in there?
No, I just said, yeah,
Okay.
no, I mean, you said it. Just
Yeah.
agreeing. Go, Wendy, go.
I've become more passionate about this stuff lately. In fact, in the book Jon and I just did for book club called The 5 Wealth Secrets 96% Don't Know, he talks about debt in that will blow your mind. Like, y'all need to get that book and read it. So, the other thing is invest in inflation resistant assets. So these are going to be your protected asset classes, which Jon and I, in our company, that's one thing we really help people set up. Real estate, right? Yes, real estate can dip and grain in the market, but in general, you're going to have an asset that continues to increase over time. And then Jon does this well. I haven't gotten there yet, but put some money in precious metals. And we have a video in the past on this. If you go to our YouTube channel and search for precious metals or gold, silver, it'll probably pop up. But those are ways to protect from inflation. They hold value. And so those are different things to put your money towards and your attention towards. But above all, stop outsourcing your future to the government or to your employer. And what does that mean? Taxes. We talk about this all the time, but it's not about how much money you make, it's how much you keep. And if all your tax strategies are save taxes today, you're leaving your future in the hands of the government, because you do not know what taxes are going to be down the road. So again, those protected asset classes that we talk about, that's a way to protect your money from being taxed like crazy in the future at an all-time high. And I think we said this last week, but taxes have been over 90% in this country before. And there's nothing to say they won't go back there eventually. So especially with the way our world's going. So, and then the other thing is outsourcing your future to your employer, expecting that they're going to take care of you for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Again, kind of going back to that multiple streams of income. If you're a W-2 employee, I encourage you to have something on the side that you're building your own wealth, and take that money and reinvest it, right? Take that money and let it be what's going to help you fund your future.
Yeah.
The system's not built to save you, right? You've got to do the work for yourself.
Something to chime in on that. I mean, here's the thing, and this is why I'm a big fan of real estate. You see some, people out there on TikTok and stuff saying, "Oh, don't buy real estate, just rent, right? Just rent. Don't get a mortgage, just rent. You're going to make more money in the long run." That is total BS. Same thing with an employer, right? You've got so many years you're working in your life, right? Let's call it 40 years total. And during that 40 years, you're either building your own wealth or building somebody else's. You're building wealth every day. The question is it for you, or is it for the person you call boss, where you're selling your life at 2 weeks at a time and they're paying you a paycheck, but they're obviously making much more money on you. And I talk to some people and they just, I would never, want to make money, from somebody else. Well, that's called being an entrepreneur. That's called being a business owner, right? You pay them a fair wage. Don't get me wrong. But some people just aren't wired to be entrepreneurs. But you've got to figure out a way to do something, whether it's a side hustle, get plugged into network marketing or something, even if it's an affiliate program where you're just making referrals. And I want to tell you right now, for our financial business, we've got a phenomenal affiliate program. If you're interested about it, simply type in PITK connector in the chat, and we'll circle back, send you the link. If it works for you, great. If not, no big deal. But you've got to be looking for something, right? One other thing too that I've seen pop up, and again, it's my algorithms, is what I call geographic arbitrage, right? And this is great for your digital nomads and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I want to go work in Europe because I disagree with what's going on here politically. So I'm going to go to a high-cost European country. That's crazy, right? So looking for ways to move to other areas that are, user friendly for digital nomads or things like that, or even retirees are doing this. I've got a really good friend of mine in my men's group, and his dream is to retire in Spain. His family's originally from Spain. He goes visits quite a bit. He wants to go back there. And, I'm like, okay, why Spain? And you start looking at the cost of living and what you can get for your dollar, still keeping your U.S. income. You still have to pay U.S. taxes, but keeping your U.S. income. And it's like, holy cow, your dollar again goes so much further outside of the United States. So if that's an option for you, maybe something to look at as well. And you're going to have to take into consideration family here versus being over there and travel and stuff like that. But another thing, and I've got one of my mentors, actually, he and I met for lunch a couple weeks ago, and he was about to leave for a trip to Puerto Rico. And I was asking him about, okay, why the PR, right? And it's because, again, he's looking to arbitrage his tax bill every year because they've got a tax program for U.S. citizens. If you have a business and there's qualifications, right? You've got to jump through hoops, but it's going to knock his effective tax rate. And trust me, he's at the peak level. It's going to knock his tax rate down to 4%. And so you look at that, and it's like, well, how is that fair? Those are the rules of the game, folks. This is what we're trying to teach you so you can play too, right? Even at whatever level, we want to teach you this. So, you can render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but you can control how much Caesar actually expects from you.
Right.
Okay. And that's why we teach you these things. So a lot of different ways you can control that. But yeah, the cost of living, again, don't depend on your W-2. I'd love to know, we should do a video on this sometime too, Wendy, as regards to how many people break up with their company, leave their company for a new job versus how many companies fire their employees, or, we'll call it a layoff or downs. You're getting fired. What that percentage is, who's breaking up with who. Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do an episode. There you go. I don't know. AI, I'm not 100% trusting yet. So we'll have to see. So let's talk about that though. AI revolution. This is the third thing. That was a good lead in. That was so subtle. I didn't even expect
You didn't even get it. I know.
I didn't even get it. No, I was like, wow, that was this. I mean, she's not just awesome. She's brains too, guys. I mean, it's the beauty in the brains. That's why we partner up, and she brings a lot to the show. So looking at the AI revolution, right? So what does that look like? I mean, AI has come on the scene. Like I said, everybody's doing these little videos and stuff. and more they're getting more realistic. So you look at what's going to happen. I mean, to the workforce, what's going to happen to your job? I'd be sweating bullets right now if I was an actor in Hollywood. I'd be sweating bullets if I was a tax preparer, doing taxes. There's literally AI doing taxes now. And they're going to start with what? The simple, easy 1040 forms. It won't be long before they're doing corporate taxes. So if you own a tax business, what are you doing? I mean, how are you adapting for that? And I think a lot of people are going to stick their head in the sand and just kind of like, oh, well, I had the personal touch. And that's great. And there's something to be said about that. But again, how much of what you do is a commodity? Like, if you're an administrative assistant, right? AI is going to take that. I had a conversation with Sarah, who was completely AI, and it sounded a little clunky, but that's
Not
Gen
for
1.
long. Yeah.
It's Gen 1, right? I mean, it's like, and so looking at some stats, and I'm gonna look over here for a minute, but you look at the Industrial Revolution, right? That was a warm-up act, and you saw what it did over the course of the last 50 years, to, I guess, 75 years to our economy in the United States. Well, the AI revolution, it's not coming, it's here, right? We're in the first phases of it right now. And by 2030, 4 years from now, guys, 4 years from now, by 2030, 30 to 40% of current jobs are going to be automated with AI.
It's insane.
A third of the jobs out there are going to be automated with AI. Additional 5 years, that number is going to hit, by 2035, it's going to hit 50%. And this includes the white collar stuff. So 2035, 9 years from now, law firms, accounting, marketing, even finance, which is why we're making sure we're bringing extra value to you guys. It's all going to get digitized. So if you're not integrating AI into your business, and I want to speak specifically to, the boomers are in the retirement time, so they're selling their businesses and things like this. But for Gen Xers, right? We're both Gen X. Well, I'm a Gen Xer. There's a question mark next to Wendy if she's a Gen X or a millennial. But you look at that, it's like, guys, you've got to learn AI and how to integrate it in your system. Or if you don't have a system for your business, you better get to it. Or you're going to get left behind. And when I say left behind, you're going to lose your business, right? Just because it's going to get gobbled up or something like that. You're not going to be able to operate with efficiencies and things like that. But going to 2040, you're going to see up to 60% of the roles either replaced completely or completely redefined by AI systems. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. You cannot stick your head in the sand, guys. You've got to learn what this is going in, or else it's going to have major detrimental impact to your business, to your income, or whatever. And for you younger folks out there, if you're thinking about, I don't know if, what our demographic is for sub 18, but if you're in high school, back in the day, and I can remember when I was going to college, I graduated high school, and I'm going to date myself here a little bit. 1987, don't make fun. But, going into a career field such as plumbing or stuff like that, I mean, I was cool with it because I came from a blue collar family, right? But I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're not going to college. Oh, how are they ever going to survive? You tell me right now, what I've seen since my kids have all, I've got one still in college, but I've seen a lot of their friends go straight from a bachelor's to a master's degree, straight from that to a PhD. Why? Because they couldn't get a job, right? And that's not going to get easier, folks. That's going to get harder. I'll tell you what, the fields that are going to be easy to get jobs on, AI is not going to take over plumbing. It's not going to take over lawn care. I'm not saying you're going to go out and mow yards. Build a business that does that stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's
one thing. Sorry, I'm going to chime in a little bit. I actually had a conversation. I have a connection at a company, HVAC company, and chatted with them because my Malachi is going to be moving back home after Christmas. And I'm like, man, getting into learning HVAC or electrical or plumbing, and think of it. And I told Malachi, don't think of it as, hey, I'm doing this to be a laborer forever, but let's learn it and then have your own business around it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
you're 100% accurate. I mean, it's one of those things that, it's okay to go and work with somebody and be a plumber. Think of it as an apprenticeship, right? They used to have a whole program for that. Same thing with HVAC, electricians. And here's the thing, there are huge shortages in that industry right now on all of those fields. Yep. And so it's like, you're coming in. I know my plumber's making $75, $100 an hour. That's pretty good work, man. I mean, as he pulls up in his Porsche pickup truck, right? I mean, it's one of those things that they make good money. But again, it's not about just doing that, but owning a business doing that. I had an awesome meeting with an electrician friend of mine last week, and we were talking about, we do business coaching, business consulting, right? So for small businesses, if you need it, reach out. But we were talking about, okay, what's your next 2 years look like? And we kind of had a conversation like, okay, let's think about ways that we can get you out of doing the actual work. And what am I talking about? Bringing in some employees. Start with subcontractors, right? And then eventually employees. And then you need a wingman or wing woman, if you will, that you can hand the keys to and then go start another one and another one and another one. And so, we kind of laid out a game plan for him and he's excited. But, again, AI is going to take over a lot of what we're seeing as traditionally protected fields.
Mhm.
And, you sitting in a desk using your brain, AI is faster. AI has all of the information there in split seconds. So learn how to use it
Mhm.
and, learn how to, I don't want to say control it because I don't know that that's ever a thing. I mean, Terminator, we've all seen it. We know where it's going. That was a joke. But, you look at, I've got to be able to integrate this into my world because it's going to definitely be a part of the future, right? It's not a matter of, is it? No, it is. And it's here. And you don't need to fear it, right? AI is an amazing tool. You just got to learn how to leverage it.
Right.
Okay. So get plugged in and start doing it. So it's not evil, it's neutral, right? The question is who controls it and how do you use it for your impact and the kingdom impact? I mean, because that's really at the end of the day what it's all about. So, we went a little long today, but I want to wrap up with this. Number one, it all starts with your financial house, folks. Get your financial house in order. If you need help, we'd love to help you. Go to safemoneyroadmap.com, fill out the little form, and we'll reach out to you. I'll put that link in the content as well. Join our Prosper in the Kingdom community. Okay. And, plug into that. We'll put the link in there for that too. And what is that? That's going to allow you to have conversations with us and ask questions. Obviously keep your private stuff private, but we also have special events that you can plug into free of charge, right? You're part of the community. You come on in. And, in 2026, you're going to start seeing guest speakers talking about real estate, talking about X, Y, and Z, crypto, things like that. My goal is to get this guy, Jake Cleaver.
Yeah.
Guy's a genius. I love that guy. Yeah. And he's a younger guy, but he's really plugged into the crypto world. I'd love to have him as a guest on there. But start learning AI and digital tools too. And best place to go for that, my favorite university, YouTube University, right? Because it's free. And you can plug in and learn so much from that. So don't think that I don't know where to start. Don't make the excuses. Don't buy into the BS. You know what to do. Let's go roll up our sleeves and do it. And if we can be of help, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us. So, folks, I'm going to close with this. Proverbs 6:6-8, right? Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. So right now, things are going well. You've got 4 years to get it up, and running as far as the whole AI and getting your house in order. Let's get that going over the next 12 years. But starting in 2030, you're going to see some dramatic changes over where we are today. So don't go to sleep behind the wheel. Put the keys in. Let's start driving and let us know how we can help you here at Prosper in the Kingdom. So everybody have a great day. We'll see you next Wednesday. And that's it. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.